Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Good stuff. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Innovation Unplugged. I'm Houston Blackwood, Workforce Director for this crazy bunch. In the studio today, got Matt Heaton, our Career Readiness Manager, and our special guest is Senior Pastor Brad Sheets from Life Church in Hartselle, Alabama. We're so glad to have you.
Dude, I am stoked and honored, and it's a privilege to get to hang out with you guys today. And I'm missing my red shirt. That's what I said. I should have matched you guys.
Well, just for the listening audience, which is two people, I hate to match. I hate to match unless it's uniform. My wife's always like, "Oh, let's coordinate." No, we're not coordinating anything. Like you wear purple, I wear black. So
I love it.
But we got these shirts recently, and we try to wear our brands on the show, but I should have told you to wear a red shirt.
Yeah, it's all good, dude.
But you've always stood out.
Yeah.
You've always walked your own path. So why would you want to be here, right?
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Just for full transparency, I've known Brad and your wife, Erin.
Yep.
I mean, I guess basically my whole life. We all went to Hartselle High School. You graduated, I think, 2 or 3 years before me.
96.
96. I graduated in 99. But we all grew up and we did things, and you've done amazing things. And that's why we're here today to talk about how you help your people live life forward.
Yeah.
That's your mission. So before we get into any real questions, who are you? Where'd you come from? And how'd you get right here?
I appreciate it. I'm born and raised in Hartselle. Fell in love with my high school sweetheart. She was 15. I was 16. I noticed her at a Hartselle baseball game.
Yeah.
And the rest is history with our relationship. So I tell people so we've been married 27 years.
Wow.
And 47 years old, got married when 19 and 20 years old, and just walked a journey. And in that journey, man, God's been faithful, and I've watched His hand even in seasons you didn't understand what He was doing. You didn't understand, why am I here? Why am I doing this? But He knew what was happening. He knew what needed to be deposited in our life and hearts. And so youth pastored, went to school in Indiana, youth pastored in Memphis, Tennessee, and came back and youth pastored in Decatur, Alabama. And had 2 great experiences at 2 amazing churches with pastors who poured into us and loved us and helped us to grow and develop. In March 2011, had on our heart to plant a church, and had the vision to do 3 campuses. We wanted a Coleman, Priceville, and Hartselle campus, and we started that journey. So now we have a Hartselle and a Coleman with the vision to do a Priceville in the next couple of years. And the Lord's just blessed. It's been a great journey to be able to impact a community and do life with people. And I always say we exist for the community. The community does not exist for us.
Yeah.
So we want to make an impact. The old saying of, if you cease to exist tomorrow, would the city know that you're not there no more? Would people go, wow, who's going to do that now? Who's going to help with this? Who's going to help lead that initiative? And that's just kind of always been our heart. So we've watched the Lord just be faithful through every up and down, and truly engaging in living life forward. So that's our website, livelifefwd.com.
Yeah.
One guy at Advanced Auto the other day, he said, "Hey, y'all got a cool website, Live Life 4-wheel drive." I was like, "No, it's not 4-wheel drive, it's forward." So
the short answer to that, Brad, is if y'all cease to exist tomorrow, would people notice and be missing something? Absolutely. Right. I see what y'all do constantly. I think something, I guess all churches have that mission, but what I see out of y'all is you're constantly investing in people, in the community, literally like investing in the community to grow things. We got tons of questions about that. Matt, you want to take the first one?
I will. Brad, you often said that people don't just need encouragement, they need investment. Why is investing in people's growth important to you and what you do?
Right. To me, if it does not start and stop with people, then you've missed the why. And I think sometimes in America, man, we become so inundated with climbing the ladder of success, and success looks like bigger bank accounts. Success looks like bigger buildings. But at the end of the day, if you do get to a place of success and you look behind you and there's casualties and you've wounded, you've hurt, you've had to lie, cheat, steal, stand on top of people, you really miss the whole premise of even what it means to be a follower of Christ, because he gave the two greatest commandments: love the Lord God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And second, he said, love your neighbor as yourself. So what does it mean to love your neighbor? It's that place of investing, of caring. If they're down and out, we want to help pick them up. If they have a desire to be an entrepreneur, it's to believe in that gift, that calling, and to say, man, hey, how do we help move you forward in who God's called you to be? And to me, the church often does a great job of meeting the spiritual need of people and leading them to Christ and praying with them and leading them maybe even through moments of grief or moments of struggle or issues in people's lives. But do we teach and help walk them through how to be a better father, how to be a better husband, how to better manage your finances, how do you better engage with life and with even your surrounding family. So investing in people, I like the word investing, and I'm glad you guys even chose that, because when you make an investment, you expect an ROI. There used to be a return on what just got deposited. And so what's the return we expect to see? We expect to see stronger fathers, stronger marriages, stronger kids walking up down the hallways of Hartselle High School because of investments that's been made in lives, hearts, and families. So
You have, you don't have to tell names, but I know that's your mission, because I know you and I know Aaron and what everything you just said, I know to be 100% true. Have you seen that come to fruition?
Yeah,
Have you seen that return?
Yeah.
So what's it like for you when you see that dad or that mom or that married couple with their children, when you see them walk out of that pit, out of that fire?
Yep.
I know you have. Like, what's that like for you, and how does that keep you moving forward with all that you have to do?
I think recognizing that is really a secret sauce to longevity. So I've been in ministry now for 27 years. And with that longevity of ministry, there's ups and downs, and there's successes, and there's failures, and there's moments that break your heart, and there's moments that you celebrate. But there's nothing greater than that moment of testimony, where you see that marriage put back together. You see a dad stepping in to maybe breaking the generational things that he grew up without a father that was present, but now you got a dad who's becoming present and coaching his kid or engaging at some level. And there's just power in that. There's power in that moment. And a lot of times I'll say we recognize and we look around and we see things that God's not doing or we wish he was doing in our life. But the true power lies whenever you recognize what he is doing and you go, hey, look at that family that's engaged in change. Look at that family. Look at that marriage that was put back together. And even the exciting part, man, is not even restoration. You know, I saw a poster the other day that said, mending broken men is powerful, but helping to raise up and not ever having to mend them because they learned at an early age, hey, so I'm very passionate about premarital counseling for young couples getting married, that you don't ever have to go through the place where you think you're going to get a divorce, you know, but you can stay strong. But if you get to that place, hey, let's talk about how you navigate through it. But how do you weather those storms in life? And goes back to investing. You know, hey, can we invest in a child so they know their identity and who they are and how they're moving forward, and they don't ever have to go through some of those tough times. So
do you keep a picture, or do you keep something tangible like in your desk or on your desk of those wins? Or is it just mental?
That's a good question. No, I've got all kind of trinkets. I love missions.
Yeah.
And, missions is for me is a recalibration at times. So I usually go to Africa twice a year. I've been in 32 different countries across the world. Matter of fact, yesterday I was with a missionary from Uganda, and every time I go on a mission trip, I bring back a little trinket of some sort, and usually it's something that's not of great value. It's something to remind me of a kid I met. Our last trip to Uganda, I bought soccer ball that they had made out of balloons and string, and I gave him $5 for it, and you thought I made him a millionaire.
Yeah.
And but that sits on my desk that reminds me of our why, that hey, it is about investing, it's about making a difference in lives and hearts.
Yeah.
And so it's good.
Yeah, I've got a picture of a little kid from a previous job. So it was a bookmark from the yearbook picture, and it was a battle.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time and emotional capital on that project. Getting him, he was special ed, and no one knew it.
Yeah.
And needed a whole bunch, and no one was recognizing it. But keep that on there, so when it gets crazy at work, it's like I think the world's about to burn down. I look at little Christian's picture, because he's not little now; he's about your size. But it's like, okay, well that was worth it, and so was this.
Yeah.
You know.
And that brings you back to the place, man, where if it's always about me and it's always about my success, then it's real easy to get down and attach, hey, we had 1,000 people in service this Sunday, or whatever initiative. But when you can come back to your why, and it's about people, and it's about lives and hearts, and it's about marriages, and it's about kids, and it's about young people, recognizing that, and you get your eyes off ourself and get your eyes off of how I feel and my emotions and what I'm trying to build, and we do all of those things in our life, man. To me, that's what separates, and it keeps you from walking in that funkiness of, hey man, what am I doing making a difference?
Yeah.
And am I just spinning my wheels, or am I truly making an impact? But when you can remember those testimonies, that's what'll make you get back up the next day and keep going.
That's right.
So,
Well, to all those points, I was listening to my favorite radio show on the way down this morning, Rick Burgess show.
yeah.
And he was talking about investment and being willing to, the same way we'd sit here and have a conversation in our favorite restaurant.
Yep.
You should be willing to have that same conversation about eternity and all these things we've already discussed. Like that is as important as what's your favorite place to eat, and the willingness to do so and make that investment.
Yeah, that's good. It's good.
What keeps people from stepping into that growth? Like, and I'm talking about people who you've mentored, you've pastored, you've cared for them. They were professionals who were hurting.
Yep.
They were homeless who were hurting. They had broken their entire life.
Yep.
What keeps them from stepping into that growth once you've given them all the tools and laid a path out for them?
Right. Probably I would answer that with maybe a cliche statement that anybody who's been in leadership has heard, is that you'll never change until the pain of staying the same hurts more than the pain of change. And I think that happens in multifacets of our life. It's that person who has an unhealthy diet, and until the doctor says, hey, if you don't change your diet, if you don't start making different decisions for your health, you're taking years off your life. It's when your spouse walks in the room and says, if you don't change this behavior, I'm leaving you. It's the until we recognize, I think nobody ever wants to embrace pain.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to embrace paying a cost or paying a price, because we are creatures of comfort. We're creatures of, we want to be comfortable. As a matter of fact, I even preach that from pulpit quite frequently. We pray prayers more about our comfort than we do anything else, and that's not a promise in Scripture. He never said, hey, Houston, I'm going to make you comfortable.
Yep.
It's about saying, hey, who am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do? And embracing that, knowing that it's going to cost something. It's going to cost me something to be the father I'm supposed to be to my kids. It's going to cost me something to meet the needs of my wife. It's going to cost me something to make those sacrifices. And I think that totally, Houston, that's why people don't change. They know it in their head, but it never walks out in their feet. And I said, I always laugh whenever you see, not laugh, I mean, that probably ain't nice, but you see a doctor that's got all the head knowledge in the world, but is unhealthy in their own body.
Yeah.
Or you walk outside and there's a nurse. I was visiting a cancer patient dying of lung cancer.
Oh gosh.
And talked to her nurse, and I walk outside and the nurse is out there, smoking a cigarette, and not saying, hey, if you smoke a cigarette, you're sinning, but you're going, hey, you're hurting your body, right?
Yeah.
And so it's that place or that repetitiveness of somebody gets off of drugs and goes through rehab, and they culture always wins. That's the truth of it. And it's what I've always known. It's what I've always done. It's how I've always lived. And until it becomes a lifestyle, you're always going to default back to that place of culture. So they end up back in that same rut, and until it goes, hey, if you don't change, you're going to prison. Then they'll change. Or hey, if you don't change, you're going to go through a lot more pain you're dealing with right now. So I think that's what keeps people from making those life choices that need to be made to change for what they know either God's called them to do, called them to be, or even if somebody's not faith-based in their posture of life, just to be a better human being sometimes it's not easy, No. And
No, especially if you're alone. I think we got a question here about the community.
Yeah, Life Church is known for building community. Why do you believe belonging to a healthy community is the foundation for real growth?
I think it's number one. I think God did not create us to do life alone. We don't know what Adam was doing in the garden by himself. He may have been running with a pair of scissors or couldn't find something before, but God literally said it's not good for man to be alone.
Right.
In that context is husband and wife in marriage, but we see biblically he sent the disciples out 2 by 2. So many times he said, "We're 2 agree and gather upon one thing." When we meet together, there I'm there in your midst. So we see a beautiful picture of how God created us for a relationship and for fellowship. You see it in Acts chapter 2, the New Testament church, when it's birthed, it literally says they met in the temple courts, which would be parallel to us gathering together in a church body, a church family. Then they met house to house. And so there was daily engagement of belonging. Hey, this is my tribe. This is my group of people. Recognizing that we all have different likes, personalities. We're all wired and how God made you to be this way, me to be this way. So you have a draw to want to connect with people who are like you. And I think that's the beauty of family and belonging, and finding that place that you fit helps make you stronger. And then it brings accountability, that if Houston and I are in relationship with each other and I see him kind of stepping off course, I have a responsibility to go to my brother and say, dude, hey, you're not being the dad you need to be. You need to be here and engage with Rowan. And then at that point, you're like, dude, who are you? Get out of my business. Or, hey, I know you love me. I know you care about me. And to me, that's accountability. I always tell everybody a true friend, and this ain't PG, but it's crass. A true friend will tell you got a booger in your nose.
Sure.
And if you let somebody walk around with a kick me sign on their back, you're not their friend. And everybody's laughing, everybody sees it. The person has no clue it's there. Yep. And I'm like, dear Lord, Houston loved me enough. If my breath stinks, or hey, you got a booger in your nose, or a kick me sign, come up and you got to scream it from the rooftop. You don't have to make a post on social media and say, look what I saw in Brad's life, but be my friend enough to tell me, say, hey man, hey bro, you got bat in the cave, you need to take care of it. And because it matters. And I think we all need people in our life, and that's that aspect of belonging. If you truly are brothers and sisters, we truly are friends, man, care about my marriage, care about my relationship with my kids, care about things in my life that are liabilities, not in a judgmental factor, but in a place to go, dude, if you don't get this fixed, this is a liability in your life. So
I love all that. And how do your small groups fix that disconnect? Because I'm kind of a loner. Like even though I have an outward facing job,
yeah,
and I deal with people all day. Like I really like to be alone.
Yeah.
And if no one ever said like you need to lead a small group or join a small group, I mean I never would. I would be on a bicycle or out in the pasture like avoiding people.
Yeah.
But for people like me or people who are ashamed of something or walking out of whatever, how do your small groups and projects in the church bring them into that belonging so they get those relationships?
It's sometimes there's a wrestle that I think happens, and you'll see different theological battles and discussion points of smaller or bigger, which one's better. And I don't know that it's an or statement. It's not small or big church. I think it's an and statement. It is, number one, I'd encourage every pastor, every church leader, you be faithful with who God brings in your flock, and you be faithful with what God's positioned you with, and don't ever compare. I coach a lot of pastors, And one of the first things I always tell to them is, man, get out of the comparison game. Don't compare somebody else's journey, because the truth is, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you see people's highlight reels, you see people's best side, but everybody's got their own insecurities, everybody's got their own struggles, everybody's got what's happening in their life. Number one. Number two, I do think that the answer is an and. So our congregation is a little over 1,000 people. And with that, 3 services, you cannot get to know somebody relationally staring at the back of their head. And so you got to figure out. And the other part of it, myself as a pastor, I cannot know. I don't care if I pull the shirt off and I got an S on my chest and my last name's Kent, right? I'm not Superman by any means, so I can't be in a relationship with everybody. Yeah. So how do you engage as believers? It's not a relationship with a pastor. It's a relationship with other believers. And to me, the best model you see in Acts chapter 2 that I kind of gave reference to a while ago is that they met from the temple courts and they met house to house. So there was an engagement factor inside of those life groups. And there's a lot of different church growth strategies, different and things. But to me, it's not about growth. It is 100%, man, about are we taking care of people? Do you have somebody close enough to you that knows when you're hurting, knows whenever, hey, Houston, the Blackwood family had a death in their family. Yeah. Do we have a way that we're loving one another, we're taking care of one another? And to me, life groups do that. So small groups, life groups, fellowship groups, whatever somebody might call them. I think they're a biblical model for engagement, and people do it naturally. So it take even out of the church world, right? So you'll watch why does travel ball have some level of success? I watch a lot of those families. I got it. The kids are engaging, all the above, but you get close with those families. Yeah. You go, hey, let's go eat together. We're going to, Chattanooga together, Atlanta together, whatever. And all of a sudden, you're seeing a context of relationships that get built because of it ain't even Christ-centered, church-centered, but it's an engagement, because it's how God wired us. Hey, we engage with each other through this vein, maybe a travel basketball or travel baseball or whatever, and we could take that down a lot of rabbit trails. But I think it goes back to how we're wired as humans, how God has created us and the need for it, and it's important. I always say the enemy works in the gaps, God works in connections. And so when there's a gap, and you and I have some similarities. I'm actually introverted. People don't believe me that.
I would rather crazy like that.
I'd rather be by myself. I'd rather. I'm not the life of the party. If you want to have a good time at your party, don't invite me, because I'll probably just sit in the corner and wave at people. But it's that understanding in that place that when the enemy can isolate you, a lot of times that's where, and I think that's where we're at in society. Mm-hmm. I've got 5,000 friends on my Facebook, but I don't have 5,000 friends.
No.
And so you feel like you're connected with people, but truly you're not. It's a false presumption that takes place.
Yeah, I love that it looks like I'm connected, but I'm really not. Yeah. And I think moving into your community center that you've been working on for a while, and I get to watch it because I drive by it all the time, having that outside of the church. Like, the church is amazing. Your church, my church is amazing. And they're both equally amazing and beautiful in all the ways, but it's like,
you better say something, because Pastor Andrew, if he watches this, he's gonna get on to you.
I thought about that driving down.
Love you, Andrew Blaylock.
I'm on the lead team. I'm gonna get in trouble. But I was just thinking, like, and Daystar does a great job too. Yeah. But the church is one thing, and there's certain things you can do there. Yep. But then there has to be something else that you do outside of the church. I think, especially for men, to get their hands on. Yeah. Now, and we're going to get into like the mission of men and the mission to fight, having a mission or an adventure and all that. But tell us about that.
Which aspect? The Life Center?
The Life Center,
okay. Yeah. It's been in our heart and our desire to get outside the four walls, echoing what I said earlier, to the realization that The community does not exist for us. We exist for the community. That first two letters of God's name is go. So we're to go. We're to get outside the four walls and make a difference. And so we have, from day one, longed to engage. So I always said I want to be the first person that the schools call when they need something. And so we've been, and none of this to brag or to tout accolades, but to say, hey, we want to put feet behind that faith. So we've been able to engage, put a new sound system in at the stadium, providing some of that labor, the sound system in the gymnasium. Whenever we had some tragedy in our community, last year had tragedy with a teacher's son walked through a situation that night. Dr. Cooper called and said, hey, can you bring some guys up here? So we rallied some pastors together and came and did a meeting with the teachers, to engage. So we lead feeding the football team, basketball team. We coordinate all of that in the community. And the good news is, and that's the part, because I try to always say there are a lot of great churches. Daystar's amazing. Pastor Jerry's awesome. Pastor Andrew, love both of those men. And I just always tell it, when I said everybody's got their tribe, everybody's got their group, like, man, everybody won't fit with us. It won't, hey, that they won't fit with our style, our preference. Music's too loud, music's too soft, sanctuary's too cold, sanctuary's too hot. I totally get it, and so it's that place that Psalm 2:8 says, asking me, I'll give the nations as your inheritance. So Life Church is called to reach the inheritance of people that we have in our city, in our community. At the same time, I believe Daystar is called, First Baptist is called, First United Methodist is called, to reach that group of people, because Easter's proof that there's enough people for everybody. And so there's no sense in having comparison or competition or church transfer growth is my least favorite kind of growth. They left that church because they wasn't happy with whatever. So I said all that to say this, that engagement point of recognition. And this is why the Life Center is a passion deep in my heart. And going, okay, Lord, if I've got 20 more years of ministry in me, I really see this initiative because people come into our churches, they give their life to Christ, and that's beautiful. It's the greatest decision anybody, I believe, can make, to say, hey, I want to be a follower of Christ. They wake up Monday morning, they go to work. Yeah. They go home to their kids, they go home to their wife, realizing that there's real life issues. So you have from those struggle points that do exist. Hey, parenting, how do I parent this teenager? Hey, how do I make sure my marriage is healthy? How do I've got this dream of starting this business. Okay, how do I embrace entrepreneurialism? I don't know where to go from here. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, but what's next? Maybe they made some bad life decisions, never finished school, and they need to go back and get their GED, but they just need somebody to put their arm around them and say, hey, dude, you can do this. You got this. I know you're 40, 50, 60 years old, but you can complete where you started. And so the Life Center, the vision behind that is to do exactly that. It's practical handles for life transformation that the answer from the church should not just be, hey, I'm praying for you, brother. It's like, dude, thank you for the prayers, but I need somebody to help me write a resume.
Yeah.
So this happened, and I've seen that long enough. And if you really want to, it's part of the discipleship process in our life. So discipleship's not just memorizing scripture. That's important. It's not just learning biblical principles. Those are important. But maybe that discipleship in somebody's life is, how do you budget better because you're having to swipe a credit card to pay all your bills. And the truth is you need to turn the iPhone off and get you a $10 Android and shut the internet off. You need to make you need to get in a budget. And so recognizing that, we want the Life Center. It'll be a connection place for our church family because we have no space. Our building's very small, and we still facilitate 1,000 folks through it. It's kind of nuts. So we needed more space, but for it to be a place 7 days a week from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Where we address life issues from grief share, celebrate recovery, divorce care, parenting, financial peace. And they're not just targeted classes towards our church, but they are available for the community. and you don't have to be a member of our church and come to it. Matter of fact, I've even talked to with other pastors about, hey, if we want to offer these, and it's not about proselytizing. We're not trying to get, if there's two people at Daystar who's going through a divorce, and they need to be around some other people that need to go through a class like that. There's no proselytizing. Matter of fact, you might come over and teach a freedom class, and you ain't a member of Life Church, and that don't scare me, because I said, hey, let's do a community place, and it ain't about just trying to get people to attend our church on Sunday morning by any means. It's going, can we see a community transformed because they need some truths? And so in working with, I know you guys are directly attached with Calhoun, but we're still marching down that path, but offering GED classes or life skills classes or workforce development. And then coordinating in. I'm excited. I think in future podcasts, y'all are going to have John Joseph. So he and I've met 3 times, bringing a Hartselle Entrepreneurial Center. Yep. So there's a Decatur Entrepreneurial Center, and then there's we're trying to navigate with State Representative Scott Statehagen, Parker Moore, those guys, Missy Evans, be the new mayor of Hartselle, saying, hey, what can we do to bring a Hartselle Entrepreneurial Center? And then we'll coordinate that with the Life Center if they need meeting space. And so trying to work together truly for life transformation. So
love that. That Family Dollar, I've been in it a million times, and it's going to be a beautiful.
That's going to be cool.
I came out the day, and they were doing the skim coat on the outside.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been the east side wall. Those guys, I don't know what they were doing, but it was just some kind of concrete coating. Yeah. But it's going to be good. And so, Matt, from that perspective, like, and the audience, listening audience will know Matt, and they know Matt's heart. He's been on many episodes, and they've seen his work. He's a pretty well known cat in that Coleman area. But when you think about those kinds of things, and for you, workforce readiness, family stability, and men's mentorship, getting into a little bit about how men need a mission or a battle to fight, but they also got to have the tools and support for that. So, like, thinking about that as your sons are growing up, 16-year-old and 10, 12?
About to be 12, yes.
Yeah, about to be 12. What's that like to have that kind of place for folks? Because you know a lot of people, too, that have walked through the fire or are walking through it right now.
Well, like we were talking about, it's almost like the bigger the church or the bigger work team comes along, the bigger need for that small group interaction to sometimes you just need to vent or talk, then to turn around and have that affect your work and your family and all those things. But without the big picture, to need that smaller group to just throw ideas off each other, vent, et cetera, and what works for you doesn't always work for everybody, but at least the ability to throw the idea, I tried this, it didn't work. What else do you see that we might could do to get to a end goal that benefits everybody?
Yeah, I like that. Having that, what are you doing? So I see a lot of those guys at Daystar, and a lot of the students the adult students that we take, and I think some high school kids too, they just don't know what their purpose is, and they've not had that revelation that, and to be some kind of cheesy, God has not given them their purpose yet, or they've not heard it, they've not listened, and so I think we, as men, we make mistakes, and we do a lot of stupid things, searching for some kind of identity or purpose. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the host asked, he said, "Is your identity wrapped up in being a Navy SEAL?" And he goes, "No, my identity was wrapped up in leading men to be better men. I just happen to be a Navy SEAL doing it." So for you, like, how do you guide those guys, men specifically, into finding that purpose or finding their battle to fight and giving them opportunities to discover what that really is?
Yep. To be honest, I'd love to say that we've figured all that out and we have the secret sauce.
Sure.
But I think it's a sign of society today. There's even an attack on identity. You hear sometimes, and not to get in a political correctness aspect, but you hear that place of talking about toxic masculinity and kind of buzzwords that you might hear coming across the news waves. And the truth is that I think God has created us as men to accomplish and to conquer and to see success. And so I've always heard it said, women like to do life eyeball to eyeball, and men like to do it shoulder to shoulder. and with that, it's that place of that engagement that there are some men that need a challenge in front of them. That's why you'll see some men's ministries that like to crawl through mud, jump over barbed wire, and light stuff on fire. And I think that's awesome. Been there, done that, done the warrior dash, all the above. But then there's other men that you go, no, thank you. And so the place is I think it's for a man. Every man is wired to want to need honor, to need respect in their life, and almost every man I ever counsel with, that part of the love languages inside their heart is when they feel dishonored or disrespected, they immediately want to withdraw, or they feel like they're emptied. So if they're getting dishonor, disrespect from their spouse, from their kids, at their workplace, it's even an innate, maybe subconscious thing when we walk into a room, especially if we have a little bit of introvertedness into us. We walk into a room, we don't want to put ourselves out there and be vulnerable to anybody, because what if we're rejected? What if I show up and you guys ask me, hey, Brad, how does that make you feel? We don't want to talk about our feelings. We don't want to get a vulnerable place, because we were made to conquer. That's why we like trophies. That's why we like sports. That's why we like, hey, we won, we got the W. It's why we like my fish was bigger than the fish you caught. We are wired for success and conquering. I think this is what God's innately put inside of men, and we'll ask those questions. What do you do for a living? And we compare, what's your size of your bank account? How big is all the above? But it does come back to that inner place of how are we getting our identity to where it needs to be? Because I'm thoroughly convinced there's not a man out there that doesn't want to be a better husband, doesn't want to be a better father, but they go, I don't know how to do it. And everything you see on the TV, television shows, movies, a lot of time downgrade men. They make fun of them. They belittle them. They think every man is out there chasing women. They think all the above. And the truth is I really do think deep down every man goes, hey, I want to be who God has called me to be and do what God's called me to do, but I don't have the tools. Help me.
No one's ever shown it.
Yep. Help me come alongside of me. And so the way you come alongside of them, I always joke, because I said, you go to Mother's Day. I don't know how long you guys have been in the church world. You go to Mother's Day, and a lot of times you hear, we're honoring mothers and mother sacrifice. And they do great. We love moms. Yeah. And then Father's Day, it's like, let's say how bad dads are. It's like, we need more fathers. You need to step up. I've heard of men's ministries that talk, hey, rise up, step up. And this is what you're doing wrong. And that's not a way to engage and activate a guy. It's going, hey, let me give you the tools you need to be successful. Yeah. And some of that I've found out, just the simplicity of every year at Life Church we do a family series. And so I will do a series, or inevitably one element of the message will be talking about a father's role and a father's blessing, and challenging a dad to actually have conversation with their son, have conversation with their daughter, and be the one that helps mold and shape their identity. I don't want Instagram, Facebook, I don't want society to shape their sexuality. I don't want it to shape their character. We're going to have those conversations about how you act on a basketball court. We played a game the other night in Gunnersville, and the other team were very mouthy. Yeah. And, we're making unpolitically correct slurs towards members of our team. And when we got back in the car, I was like, Carter, I'm proud of how you steered that, because he literally walked over and calmed some guys down and went and talked to the referee. Said, hey. Yeah. And so it's in those moments you go, we've got to teach them how to navigate even emotions. And your 12-year-old's fixing to start changing. And girls had cooties, now girls are attractive.
Absolutely.
If as dad, if we don't teach him how to handle our hormones correctly, the world is. And we gotta be there to engage and have the tools. And this is what we do to be the men that God's called us to be, how we treat our wife, how we cover our kids, but also be the one that sets boundaries. Hey, we don't do that. So we have what we call the Sheets 5 family rules. And every year, one of my messages, my family series, I'll go through our 5 family rules. And every year, hey, can you print us a copy of that? Because we do. And I said, part of my job as a father is to create boundaries. So one of our family rules is others may, but you may not. They might be going and participating, acting like that, but we don't, because there's a higher calling on your life.
Right.
It's not legalism. It's just going, dude, we don't act like that. We act different. And God's blessed. We've got some great kids and
You do.
in our household.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming from the church and then the center, oftentimes when that individual makes that spiritual decision for life changing, that also brings along the need for professional, or some cases, I need to start some type of career.
Yep.
So how do you balance that encouragement between the spiritual walk and the professional walk, or jumping into the professional world in general?
Yep. Dude, I 1,000 times love even that line of talking, because I think that's the place that we've got to get more engaged. I think that's the place of, it's a holistic approach to being healthy. It's a holistic approach to, I guess with that tension point, I grew up, if you have a problem, Houston, just pray harder. And I believe in prayer. I believe in worship. I believe in reading the scripture. But sometimes we need practical handles. I need somebody to help me. I need somebody to help me how to fish. Don't just say, "Hey, the lake's over there." So with that, I think that's where relationships are so important. And you put your arm around a guy that goes, "Hey, I'm trying to get this job. Well, hey man, let me help you." So Houston, and I'll tell you the other part. Sometimes we take for granted things that come ezy for us,
Got that
but
right.
it might be tough for somebody else.
Right.
And things that seem like common sense in our mind, but and with that, I think we have to flip our script and go, man, maybe God's blessed you with the ability to look at numbers and how to build a budget and set guidelines, but somebody else, they're just struggling. They can't make ends meet, and so they need somebody to put their arm around and teach them how to budget. Maybe relationships come easy, and I can talk to my wife, and I can pray with my wife, and I can encourage my wife, and that comes easy. But the number of men that sit across on a couch in my office, like, dude, I feel stupid. Man, what if I say the wrong thing? I'm like, dude, it's your wife. You can't say the wrong thing. I said, she's going to love you more for you just trying to have a conversation. So to me, I can't really know Houston until you build that relationship together. And then it's a life-on-life journey. It's going, hey, what does Houston need? And I may not be able to give it to him, but I could put him in contact with someone who can help him on that journey, or maybe never finish school. Maybe he needs to be encouraged. Man, you need to go back and finish your degree. Yeah. You can do it. God's put in your heart to start a business, man. You got it. I had lunch yesterday with a guy who in his mid-50s, and he's always wanted to own a business. And he said, dude, I'm doing it. He said, I quit my job Monday. And I went, all right, dude. He said, I'm going. And I was like, it's in you. And so immediately I go, I can't make that business happen for him. But I said, bro, you need to call A, B, C, D, and E. You need to reach out to them. They'll help you. And so I think we missed some of that it's not using the church to advance your own success ladder, but it's God put it inside of Houston, or God put it inside of John, God put it inside of, it's our job to help pull it out. Yeah. And to empower, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you. What are those plans? That may be to be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, entrepreneur, business, whatever, that it's in them.
I think the powerful part of your life center is going to be that there's going to be the opportunity for spiritual growth, but they're going to say, okay, well, here you are, like you just came out of prison, or you just came out of got laid off, or you just came out of divorce, or whatever, or you and your wife are working these jobs, whatever. There's going to be those resources at the compartment, the stages of their life, to say, okay, well, here's the next thing I need. Cool, it's right there. Yep. And then you can bring in the next week, next month for the next thing. Yep. And and you're not tied in financially to those people. Yep. Like John Joseph could come in, or the city planning commission could come in, or Calhoun Community College, whoever can come in and say, hey, here's the next thing you need, and then it's gone, and you just are really a vessel. Yep. For growth. Yeah. And when I first heard you mention that, living in Hartselle, knowing the people, I was like, man, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know, because those folks can come from the different counties and just be a conduit for growth. And I can't wait to see what you do with the same energy and frenetic pace you've done everything else ever in life. It's pretty cool. We're getting close to the end, and one of the questions we always ask our guests is, in 5 years,
Yep.
what are you going to toast to? Now, yours obviously going to be Sprite or sweet tea, right? So whatever you toast with. But in 5 years, what are you going to toast to, looking back and say, man, that worked out really well?
Right. I would honestly, if you had asked me that question 2 or 3 years ago, I might would have answered it different. But I think the older I get and the longer you see rhythms, it's not hard. In the United States of America, it is not hard to draw a crowd. You do the right event, you market it the right way, you tell the story, you can get a crowd of people. To get those people to go on a journey of moving forward, a journey of growth, a journey of truly being a disciple and follower of Christ, that's an uphill battle on ice skates in the middle of a snowstorm. And oftentimes it feels like that. But I would say my prayer is in 5 years that I can look back and say that we, even if we numerically don't grow another single person, that I can look back and go, I'm getting to see some of this, a little bit of this right now, because I can see a conversation. The missionary to Uganda was on staff at our church for 7 years. We've got a guy who's on staff at our church, who's pastoring in Oklahoma City, one in Hackleburg, 2 in Nashville. And you see some longevity of impact of, I watched that couple come through the youth group, do things right, get married. Now they're having their own kids. And you start seeing some fruit and more gray hair on top of your head. And you wish there was everybody's success story, because at the same time you have some that breaks your heart and you go, man, what happened there? But my prayer is that in 5 years you look back and go, hey, I'm so proud of that person they become. I'm so proud of that journey they walked on. And that you see the word of God never returns void. You see deposits that were made, and maybe I got to plant the seed and they went somewhere else and that got watered, but it grew from an acorn into an oak tree. And that's what I want to tout. More than building a building, stained glass windows, numerical numbers, any of the above, I pray I get to sit back almost like we don't have grandkids, and I hope it's several years.
Yeah.
You know, but I picture on Christmas when a grandma or grandpa, their kids come walking in, and you go, hey, this is legacy.
Yeah.
That's what we get to toast is legacy of investment, and and ultimately that the Lord says, well done, my good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
So
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Can we wrap it up?
I will. We'd like to thank our guest, Pastor Brad, for joining us today and sharing his heart and his vision. And this is going to conclude another episode of Innovation Unplugged. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all your favorite social media platforms. Have a great day.